Hopefully it's recording. Good morning and welcome to today's daily reset. We go back to the foundations today and speak about intentionality. We won't be able to read from the book, but this is our opportunity to really think about what intentionality means and how to make it practical. I promise you, none of you is on this call at this time this morning by accident. If you are here on this call, it's because you planned for it. Intentionality is the creative principle that precedes the outcome that you want. In fact, you could say that intentionality creates what you want before you form it. Just like in the book of Genesis, where God said, "Let us make man." Man was not created at the time that he was squeezed out of the ground. He was created even before the words were spoken. So God created man in his imagination, and then he communicated about man. So we learn about the impending creation of the manifestation of man at the level that God speaks about it. But otherwise, he had already created man by the time he's speaking about man. And then, of course, he goes ahead and touches the ground. I don't know whether he was on the ground when he said it or he was not, but touches the ground and then creates it. All right, finally, my camera is okay. Goes ahead and creates man. So intentionality allows you to create the end before the beginning. There's a reason why the Bible says that God is Alpha and Omega. Why is God Alpha and Omega? And think about Alpha and Omega. Alpha is the beginning and Omega is the end. Why is that possible? It's because it is in God's nature to, you think of God as a complete circle. There is no discontinuity anywhere. The Alpha is also the Omega. The end is the beginning, which is, for us, when we live at the beginning of the day, we don't know what's happening at the end of the day. But for God, at the point where he is, that is the beginning, but that is also the end, and he's able to see both. Such that you and I, as we wait and struggle to see the beginning, the end from the beginning, he sees, and that continuity of this is based on the fact that you're dealing with a being that has intentionality at the level where once it's created mentally at the level of imagination, he can see it. When you create your day, at the beginning of the day, it is as real as though you had already lived it. So the question is, will you be faithful to what you have created? Will you be faithful to what you have created so that you can see it at the end of the day? And that is our biggest challenge, so that as you, for example, you wake up in the morning and you do your daily reset and decide what kind of day you are going to have, will you be faithful so that you actually show up despite obstacles, despite distractions, even if you don't feel like it? You show up. You have already created the day at 7, 8, 9, 10, 1 p.m., 3 p.m. You show up no matter what obstacle comes your way. You are living the day that you created. And that is our challenge. To make intentionality precede the way, but then to follow the way that intentionality has walked. As a child, I used to go to lots of places with my father. And one of the things that anybody who knows him knows is that he walks fast. So we would agree we are going to the marketplace and we start walking. He will be gone before I know it. But I always knew where to find him in the marketplace. So what do? I just need to figure out, where are we going? We are going to Auntie Sylvia's house, or we are going to Sameta, or we are going to the marketplace. Once he says that, I know, and he always makes sure he says where we are going, because I won't be able to keep up with his pace. But then once he goes, I follow him, and I follow him to that destination. It doesn't matter what distractions I find along the way. I know the destination, where he's gone, where he said he would go. Intentionality gives us that power at the beginning of the day to decide at the beginning of the day what is going to be at the end of the day, to begin to emulate God's nature of Omega, Alpha and Omega, where the beginning and the end are not separate. There's continuity between the beginning and the end. In fact, the beginning and the end are exactly the same thing, but the gap between them is just time. That between the beginning and the end, maybe for a day, it will be 24 hours. Maybe for your business, it will be 4, 5, maybe 6 years to get to the level that you want. Maybe for the degree you're pursuing, it will be another 2 years before you graduate. Maybe for bringing a child into this world is 9 months. But those 2 points are not any different, such that the time can be collapsed. For example, if you're building a business, if you learn some of the advanced strategies, you can collapse the timeline. You get to the point where you get to the end the same way that you would have gotten there in 6 years, you get there in 3 years. And that's because intentionality precedes the way, and then you follow behind. You follow faithfully. But you see, you create the need for faithfulness once you have already created an end in mind that you specifically want to go to. And so we have the big vision that we are pursuing, the goals, desires that we are going after. You create a picture every single day that makes sure that today becomes a piece of the bigger puzzle. Today becomes a little piece that moves you closer, and you use it the best way you can by making the end of today as clear as possible. By the end of today, you are closer than you've ever been to the goals and dreams that you are pursuing. So we use intentionality to create the end from the beginning. I permit myself. In other words, I can actually say that today I permitted myself to. Today it was my intention, and it has been my intention, because is and was, the gap between them is just time. But both points are as real at the beginning and as they were at the end. How I live them is a manifestation of the faithfulness I have to the end, so that I begin to have the reason why God can say I am the beginning and the end. It's because there is no obstacle that is going to stop him from manifesting in the end what he has conceived at the beginning. And you and I begin to move closer to that identity by being able to narrow the gap between the difference between what we intend and what we manifest. So that today, at the end of the day, I will say that my focus was in the morning, and my focus has been, and my focus still is. It has remained through the day, faithful throughout, regardless of what obstacles I'm facing. It was my intention to claim or release, and it has been my intention, and it still is this evening. And when we get to that point, then now we can actually say that we are living both at the beginning and the end the same way. We are narrowing that gap. And that is how we are truly manifesting the identity designed for us. An identity that defies space, defies time. When you begin to live from this level, this is when you become successful, and people are like, he became rich in no time. He became rich from nowhere. Why is it no time? It's because time is no longer the biggest factor separating these two things. Because once you have faithfulness, once there is a clear line between the beginning and the end, where you are pulled forward by a clear vision and you're faithful to it, then in no time, from nowhere, of course, quote unquote, nowhere, it's people tend to ignore the fact that you've been building this business consistently for years. Intentionality gives me the power to embody the identity God designed for me. And this is the creative principle that allows me to start emulating him as close as possible. And that brings us to the declaration of intentionality. But in the meantime, could we have a couple of responses in the chat box? What has stood out for you from, just so that there's something extremely crucial in that little segment that we've spoken about, but I would like to make sure that we catch it. Go to your chat box. What has stood out for you really quickly? Timelines can be collapsed. Yes. Thank you, Eunice Korea. Timelines can be collapsed. Time is not the biggest factor in achieving anything I want, but intentionality, Mary Joy. Thank you. Yes. I see a smile on Sylvia's face. It means she's absorbed it deeply. We are waiting for the bomb to land. Could you have a couple more, please? I can achieve my goals sooner. You can achieve your goals sooner. In fact, the moment you truly conceive your goal clearly, you have already achieved that goal at the level of creation. The question is, will you remain faithful enough? Faithful enough until this barrier of time passes away. That was Beth. Shalene says, intentionality creates what you want even before you say it. Absolutely. Absolutely. By the time you are saying it, you are at the level of communication and you have to communicate something that already exists. It's before God says, create man, man was not vocabulary that had appeared anywhere. That was the first time that the word man is appearing. So by the time you're communicating about something that exists. Thank you for that, Shalene. Let me get a couple more, then we'll move. Intentionality is the creative principle. Absolutely. Eunice, absolutely. Esther, intentionality is the creative principle. I need to get things done. It allows me to create the end before the beginning. It allows you to create the end before the beginning, but think of your life as a circle. Think of your life as a circle. If you are at the beginning where you are starting, for you to complete the circle, you have to come back to the same spot. Then you will actually have completed the circle. In other words, the end and the beginning are essentially the same place. What will you maintain the faithfulness around the circle until you come back to that point? Because the only gap is just that space of time. I am glad that I was wanting to make sure that we've captured. I hope you get this, that it's the time is, it's God created time, which is why the Bible says that in God's eyes 1,000 years and 1 day are not any different. 1 day can be 1,000 years, 1,000 years can be 1 day, because where you are today is where you will be at some point. It will just be the same you, right, who has achieved that dream that you are going after. Let's get a few more. These are really beautiful. James says intentionality creates the way and I follow behind. I love it. There will be hurdles, but I must follow faithfully. That's a beautiful summary, James. Gladys says the vision traction is totally critical. Thank you, Gladys, for noticing that I was talking about vision traction all along without talking about vision traction, because the point is not the label. It is what lies underneath. Vision traction is about how to come back to the same point every day. And then you move from that point in the morning, you decide where I'm standing right now, when 24 hours passes, I will be standing in this place, but it will be different in this way. Because you are always coming, life is cyclic, you are always coming back to the same point. Mercy, that I shouldn't wait for the 10 years to achieve my goals. You can live your 10 years now. Absolutely. Thank you, Mercy. Absolutely. Grace, intentionality should lead my way. Yes. Betty, God is the Alpha and Omega. So no need for fear. I should create with God, who is the same. God is Alpha and Omega. God can't be Alpha and Omega if he did not embody that element of cyclicity where he is back to that same point. We didn't know the concept of days until it's spoken about in creation. Each of these are principles that emerge for the first time in creation, where it's the right from the beginning that the concept of 7 day cycle is created. You always come back to the same point, but you always start from the same point. It's just time. Remaining faithful becomes intentionality gives you the power to remain faithful because it creates the destination. It's like my father. It has already gone to the marketplace and you're following to get there in the marketplace. Finally, the connection between time and intentionality is multi-layered, spanning from extraordinary character of thought to the embodied experience of temporality. That's beautiful. That should even go on a poster. It's beautiful. And of course, it came from Nyathewa, Fanny Samodi. Thank you, Fanny. Frida, time is not the problem. The question is, do I have the goals that I'm pursuing? That's do you have, has your father already gone to the marketplace, which becomes the goal? If he's already gone to the marketplace now, even if it rains, if you don't follow him, maybe he was going to buy, he was going to buy mbuzi in the village. Buying 3 kilograms of mbuzi is Christmas for everybody. If you don't go, you will let everybody down. Where has your father gone? In other words, where has your goal, your vision, your desire gone for the day? Time is not the problem. Sylvia, I'll get maybe 2 more, then we'll be done. Other than time, the difference between our beginning and end is the obstacles. Yes, the obstacles are planted in time so that they can test you, they can train you, they can toughen you. That's the purpose of your obstacles. In fact, every single time we set a goal, what we are creating is a series of obstacles so that we have a reason to grow. You wake up in the morning and you are like, my life is too quiet. I need to create some problems. What is the problem I create? I want to start a new business. The business, the biggest thing you get from the business initially before the money and any fulfillment is the obstacles that you have to deal with. Mercy, no obstacle stops God, not even time. I'll read the last one. As much as I intentionally create my outcome, I am called upon to faithfully act upon my creation. And that's something that God portrays for us really clearly. He says, let us create man. At that time, by the time he's communicating about let us create, he's communicating about an entity that already exists. Then, of course, goes on to do management, which is unifying the faculties to bring them together to do it, and then implement the idea, which means reach down and do the dirty work, literally pick the soil up and mold it and actually form man, such that you see all the 4 levels: imagination, communication, and then there is unification of faculties, and then there is actual physical implementation. You see all of them. But intentionality becomes practical in all these levels when you have an end that is clear. Joanne, that will be the last one I read. It's all in the mind. Yes, it's all in the mind, and willpower comes with implementing. So let us now read the uh, declaration of intentionality. Please go ahead and read it your own way and read it with vigor from the second paragraph going down. The first one is just acknowledge. In the past, I've felt powerless. I allowed external forces and limiting beliefs to hold me back. Yet today, you state the date and then continue reading the rest, and you read it with, because you are creating the day. You will be back to this same point where you are emotionally, psychologically, you will be back, but you will be back and it will be changed just based on the fact that you created something and you pursued it faithfully. I'm seizing back my power. Today, I'm determined to direct my intentions, master my focus, and take command of my actions. I am determined to shape my reality with purpose. I am determined to intentionally shape my reality with purpose. With the power of intentionality, I am determined to shape my reality with purpose. I have a blueprint and I'm intentionally committed to creating something beautiful out of it. I am seizing back the power to tap into intentionality so that I can direct my intentions, master my focus, and command my actions. I hope you don't just say it, just it's this is a segment where I wish I had, the omnipresence power and I would jump like brrr, boom, I'm on your table, Sylvia. Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go. And then next second, I'm with Fanny, I'm with Eunice, I'm with everyone here, just to see how you are doing it. This is the reason why we do this in the morning. You declare this in the morning and you declare this consistently in the course of 1 month, it will change everything. Could you write down 5 specific ways? Remember, the difference, the gap between now and the evening is time. It's just a gap of 12 hours. You have already lived this day. If you create it in your mind, you have essentially already lived it. Now, can you write down 5 specific things, and you are thinking from the end of the day. It is the end of the day, it is 10 p.m. tonight, and you have already lived this day. Tell me 5 ways in which you lived this day beautifully. Write down 5 ways and get ready to share in the chat box. 5 ways you lived this day beautifully. Get ready to share in the chat box. What are the 5? Just specify 5 things. They don't need to be big things, they just need to be specific things. 5 specific things so that as you start the day today, this is going to be part of your agenda. And it might be just the approach, it might be the mental images you will hold, it might be the kind of vocabulary you will use to describe your goals, your circumstances, your path, your possibilities, your opportunities. It might be an attitude that you will have about the obstacles that you face. It will be how you view yourself. It may be an identity you give yourself. Pick a beautiful identity and decide that this is an identity you are going to use today. It might be, everyone, please make sure you have something about how you will carry yourself physically. Make sure you have something about how you will carry yourself physically. In fact, today, let's just share that one. How will you carry yourself physically? In other words, pick something, even if you can pick something that covers posture, your walk, and just, I don't want to end up how you sit. I don't want to end up giving you all of them. I want you to just pick something specific. How will you carry yourself physically? So that is one of the things that you will do today. Yes, Gladys, smiling. Could we just start sharing as you continue processing the rest? And remember, you have already smiled. Gladys, you've already been smiling for the last 14 hours. Because the gap between now and 10 p.m. is only time. Intentionality supersedes time. It allows us to create the end from the beginning, because just like God is Alpha and Omega, our lives are circular. We always come back to the same point to start again, come back to the same point to start again, over during the day. And you can start over and over in the course of the day too. Could we have a couple more sharing in the chat box? Shiro Mwangi, welcome back, Shiro. I didn't see yesterday. And oh my goodness. Okay, they have passed even before I could read it. Let me expand this chat box. I can start off with Shiro. Shiro says she will have a peaceful aura. Peaceful aura. If I was not better educated and I was still the boy from Sengera, I would have called peaceful aura, which is someone's name. I see. If I hear anybody laughing at me, Beautiful aura, Shiro. Grace saying she will be happy, fulfilled day, proper time management, relaxed and grateful. Thank you. You've given us all of them. That's good. Eunice Courier says confident and head held high. Head held high by itself, it just comes with if you hold your head high, you automatically find yourself walking faster. You find yourself walking faster. You find yourself walking with a deeper voice. I don't know why, but for some reason that happens. You kind of, it's like you hold your head high and you kind of create room below your voice. And you realize you don't have to speak high. You can speak with a deeper, more controlled voice. Kate wants to be cheerful. Charlene wants to be poised. That's a beautiful one because poised goes from physical even to your mental attitude. Mary Joy wants to be joyous and fulfilled. Mercy wants to exude deeper inner joy. Fanis wants to have heartfelt conversations, sharing a smile, gratitude for the day and accomplish the tasks on her desk. Esther wants to be in control of her emotions and happy with the choices she makes throughout the day. Betty wants to serve cheerfully. I hope that by sharing everybody's thoughts that it stimulates you to even gives you the opportunity to actually pick some aspects and even become consciously aware about some other aspects. Sylvia, a lot of smiles. Rachel, positively, purposefully, and confidence. Those are powerful, positive attributes. Enthusiastic, impeccable with my word, and full of energy. That's Frida. That's really beautiful. Betty wants to give hope. Beth wants to be positive and energetic. Um, we'll leave that there. Please complete the rest of this for yourself so that you have the specific ways that you will have lived this day. We will stick with the identity of director. You are the director of your intentions. And the intentions you have set here, these things are at the table of the director's office. And you know, the director's office is in the best corner in the building. It's the biggest. You have the mahogany table, right? If you even have your coffee maker, you have your assistants, which is your mind, your spirit, your soul. Go ahead and carry the things that you've identified, carry them with you, knowing that you are the director of your intentions. It is your job to guide your life with a clear purpose. As the director of your intentions, it's your job to direct, to guide your life with clear purpose. You are the director of your intentions and you have specified some of the ways. Please make sure you complete. This is an extremely crucial part. And now it's time for you to do your daily reset. If you are new to the daily reset, what you need to do is to complete each of those prompts. Each of those prompts. And we are taking a small segment of your life and creating a small circle. This circle or cycle called today is an opportunity that you can come back to. You can draw this small circle here and you're like, all right, I'm not worrying about the bigger one, but this small circle here, I can cycle around it and come back to the same spot. And you'll realize that tomorrow, the same circle you drew will be the one that you cycle around again. You keep cycling on this small circle called today. Before you know it, that small circle has become the cycling of your week, the cycling of your month, the cycling of your year. And suddenly you are living with intention. So you complete each of this, and you shouldn't add more than 5 words at the end of each of them. So what do you permit yourself to do, to have, to experience, to know, to notice, to try, to show, to tackle? What do you permit yourself to experience? And it is your intention to do what, to be what, to know what, to go where. Your response shouldn't have a conjunction. So there shouldn't ideally be an and or commas and colons and semicolons. And what's your focus? Please complete them. What's your focus? What are you claiming? In other words, what positive attribute, positive experience, positive resource, positive opportunities do you want to claim so that you can draw it into your life? And what is this thing that or things that you would be glad to let go? Is it self-doubt? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it uncertainty? Is it stagnation? Whatever it is that you are willing to let go of. So continue doing that, and remember that our agreement for the week, is impeccability with the word. So I will be impeccable with my word. You will be impeccable with your word. Remember we said before that the word is not the spoken sound. The word is that emotion you have. If you're carrying an emotion that works against you, you are not being impeccable with your word. If you are holding mental images that work against you, you are not being impeccable with your word. To be impeccable with your word goes beyond what you say. Nothing exists without the word. When you think about the story of creation, man was not a concept until it became communicated in word. Nothing exists without the word because the word is what we use to create everything that we know. Before the pandemic, zooming in meant taking a camera and narrowing down and expanding something. But now when you say Zoom, it means something else. It means this platform that people come to. There was a time when Googling was not a concept in your mind until finally it came up and it became a thing. You remember the company that used to be called Cancel? Cancel. And then it became Zane. And then it became it's it is the word, the name kept changing, right? It's before Zain, we didn't know anything about Zain, and then suddenly Zain. And Zain is a very common name in places like Bangladesh and Pakistan. It's actually people are called Zain. And the owners of that brand were from India, I think, who bought Cancer. Safaricom was not a thing until it was given that label. So be impeccable with your word. Watch out for the times that you use, especially when you type. You say something and then you put LOL at the end. I am usually very sensitive to make sure that I'm not putting LOL after something that I have said that is negative towards me. You know, I am always shy, LOL. The LOL, it's surface level, but at the level of creation, I'm actually creating something that I don't want. I think I want us just share, everybody just type, I will be impeccable with my word, but I don't want you to just type it. I want you to actually say it and type it. And that will be the end of it. I will be impeccable with my word. Type that in the chat box. I will be impeccable with my word. Could we could we read that? And I will read it again to someone else, but I will read a few of them because they will be the same. My camera finally is in order. I don't know what's up with. I have a new camera that for some reason has been acting up. I will be impeccable with my word. I will read a few of them because each of them carries your own flavor, as a person. I will be impeccable with my word, Mary Joy. Fanny says something else. I will be impeccable with my word. Um, I want you to see whether you can figure out which word am I emphasizing every time I'm reading it. Faith says, I will be impeccable with my word. Rachel says, I will be impeccable with my word. Anne says, I will be impeccable with my word. Beth says, I will be impeccable with my word. Carol says, I will be impeccable with my word. Nyambura, Nyambura. All right, Gladys, yes. Nyambura, will be impeccable with my word. I'm sure it's very difficult for you to figure out whether I emphasized I or I emphasized Nyambura, which other word I emphasized. That will be the end of our daily reset for this morning. I'm going to have one of you, if I could get just on the breakthrough challenge, could I get 3 volunteers? I would like 3 volunteers to have access to the slides. My goal is for us to have daily reset the rest of the week, but I still have 2 more days when I don't have anybody who can cover me because my colleagues are going for a conference and therefore we are only very few people remaining behind, which is part of what has ended up happening today. So I would like to get a couple of volunteers, like 2 or 3 volunteers. I will share with you this set of slides, and then if for some reason I end up running late, you can just go ahead and portray, share the slides and utilize the chat box a lot to bring our minds together. And of course, I will do my best to join in as early as I can. But once this phase is done, the weekends are already taken care of, so I will be here without fail every single weekend. Once this phase is done, then the rest of, especially from next week going forward, that's all cleared up totally, so that we can actually really, really accelerate this part of the challenge.